I'm Melanie Johnson along with my co-host Jen Foster. We are both 13-time best-selling authors. We've published over 2,500 books and made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We own Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a best-selling author, look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Now, welcome to the podcast that shares secrets from top industry experts that show you how to get lasting success and results. This is the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hi, everyone. Happy 2021. I think everybody is so happy to be here finally and dust off everything from last year and have a fresh start. So keeping that in mind, I'm here with my business partner, Jen Foster from Elite Online Publishing. Hey, Jen.
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
So keeping that in mind and dusting everything off, I think it would be a great way to start the year on learning how to have great rules on how to make your business better, how to create a startup and keep it going. So many people start a business and then they crash and burn. So we have Sean Castrina here today. He is the author of not one, not two, but 3 books. So we love that, of course, because we're a publishing company. And so we're going to get started with him. But first, remember to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a comment and share it with your friends, because we're going to have great content. So if you're a business owner, know a business owner, if you're working for a company in any aspect, you're going to learn stuff today that is going to help you get to the next level and have like a business survival kit is what I'm going to call it with Sean today. Sean, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Great to be on the podcast.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit, Sean, how you got started and how you became this great success.
All right. Well, I was doing it the typical route. In my generation, my parents were like, if you went to college, you were going to probably do better than their generation. So, each, I think every set of parents wants to advance their kids a level past where they're at. So I went to college on an athletic scholarship, got a degree, offered to work for a nonprofit for no money out of college because I knew that I could skip a lot of rungs on the ladder if I just proved myself. And I worked there for 5 years. And overnight, there was a leadership change and I got let go with a few of my colleagues. And then I kind of realized that a job, employment, no matter how good it is, no matter how talented you are, you have really no security. Either they're looking to either replace you sometimes with somebody less expensive, or they're deciding whether they even need you. So, and I'm a business owner. That is strategically something I think through every year. Is this person still worth what I'm paying them? Can I replace them for less? Do I even need them? Now, I hope to say I want to keep them and everything's great, but those metrics play into every good business owner. So it's always a little bit of a game of survival. Obviously, I didn't survive that, and so I took a job selling insurance because I had a mortgage and I was recently married, I had a new child, and you have to survive for a short period of time. And when I was there, I started my first business, which kind of galvanized my entire theory of business in general, which is contrary to many things that you hear. I was selling insurance in a sales meeting, and it's the first time I was around really wealthy people regularly, big time expensive cars. And I was like, wow, if we could just get our cars clean in this parking lot, like while we're at this meeting, that would be great. Like, I don't want to go to a car. I want it clean, detailed, wax right here. And now there's a car wash, every 3 blocks, but back then there wasn't. And so I set up a detailing business, and I've never cleaned a car to this day, including my own. And I made $35,000 passive income. I worked about an hour a week just setting up the system, the model, which is a service company. There's a spread. Customer pays A, you pay labor B. If the spread between the two is attractive, you have a business. The only thing you need to do is attract customers. Business is 3 things: attract customers. Okay, very, very attract customers, sell customers, get them to say yes, and then fulfill what it is you promised. There it is, ABC. That's all you do in business. Everything else is just a strategy. So that worked. I made $35,000 passively, and I knew then that I touched on a few things. One is I could care less about car washing. Passion is an entrepreneur's mistress. Find a profitable idea, and you'll be able to pay for a lot of passions along the way. I always say Richard Branson loves sailing. He doesn't have a sailing business. You got Virgin Airlines, you got Virgin Phones, you got Virgin Music. You don't have Virgin Yachts, but that's his #1 passion. So I learned that I didn't have to love the business. Number 2 is I didn't have to work in the business. I just had to do a few finite things, and I've been rinsing and repeating that formula for 25 years.
I love that you don't have to work in the business. You know, so many people, I keep telling people that we know and ourselves is, I use the football analogy. We're not supposed to be on the field, right? We're supposed to be the owner up in the box, watching the coach manage the players and watch the players go. We're not going to be running the football ourselves is what we want to do. So
Exactly. I agree. And not only that, it limits what you can do. If the first, everybody's different, and some people are just, wired to, they start one business, they hold on to it for dear life. What I tell you is you're not an entrepreneur. You had an entrepreneurial moment, but then you just became a business owner. And there's a difference between the two. If you watch Shark Tank, those six people can't help themselves but to buy a business. That's why they fight over it, because it's fun. It's fun. They're always looking, can this solve a problem? Is there a need for this? That's an entrepreneur is like an addict.
Yeah, they're on the energy of the startup every time. So there's certain things you should do and not do when you're doing a startup to make it successful. And so many, like they say, the average new business doesn't last more than 5 years. That's kind of the crushing point. And most end within the first year to 3 years.
Yes.
So what are some of those, walk us through some of those things that we should be doing when we are that serial entrepreneur. And I know some of the things you're going to tell us, or even things we should be doing, even if you've been around for 5 years, that we missed along the way.
Yeah. I think, in my first book I wrote called The 8 Unbreakable Rules, and I'll show you how you can get that for free today. But I looked at why my businesses statistically had succeeded fairly well. And there's things that were consistent, and success leaves breadcrumbs. The first thing I found out is that it's the person. Always bet on the person. Again, if you watch Shark Tank, they bet on the person presenting the idea every bit as much as the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they want 51%, it's because they don't believe in the person. They just want to yank the system out from under them and put it in the hands of somebody who they really believe can do it. But so the first thing is just developing the skills that successful people have. Successful people in general have a few things that they consistently do. They don't have to be told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Okay, they just have that. They innately take action. They're maniacally focused. Okay, we get a lot of things and we're like a little rabbit and we look around for a little while, but then we know how to focus in on the thing that gives us the greatest return. So that the difference between choosing good and great.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not just excited about something every month. We're excited about something new. And we've all met people like that. Every month you meet them at a restaurant or a bar, or whatever the case may be, and they're excited about something that month, but they never get anything really done. Great entrepreneurs value teams. They're addicted to talent. Mark Zuckerberg without, Sandberg, and you have Facebook is just a really neat site for people to hang around colleges. It was a college thing. It wasn't making any money. Okay. So, they're addicted to getting great talent and different things like that. So my first thing is that ideas are a dime a dozen. You're going to have a lot of those. Develop yourself, because even if the first business doesn't work for whatever reason, you're going to succeed. So develop you. Again, the idea will happen. Businesses will fail. But if you have that innate something extra, you're going to hit yours. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's my first thing I talk about. Second thing I'm big on is, just because you have an idea in your head doesn't mean it's a good idea. That's why that's why I wrote The World's Greatest Business Plan, because business plan kind of covers a couple of things that I'm going to talk about. Number one is it vets your idea. Like, I have a really good idea, and then I'll bounce it off one of my business partners, and I go, "Well, did you think about that?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't think about that." Or "Did you think about that?" Or, "Do you got to have a license to do that?" There's a regulation, because I'm not always in the industry knowledge. Again, I don't have to fall in love with the business. I just want to know if it's profitable. So in the vetting stages, sometimes they'll tell me, "We're going to need this person, and this person's really expensive, and it's going to be hard to get them to move to this part of where we live." Typically they're, the ecosystem for that type of hire is in New York or California or whatever. Okay. So I need to qualify that idea. I need to make sure it's a good idea. Problem is we bring bad ideas to the marketplace, and the marketplace does what it always does. It rejects them. It is not a respecter of people. Mm-hmm. And so it'll reject that idea. The third thing why I like business plans is because you gotta have a plan. A lot of football games going on in the next few weeks. Okay. Every one of those teams think they're going to win based on the strategy that they've put into place. Mm-hmm. And every one of those teams that know they got a hard day ahead of them is because that plan, they're even looking at their plan and questioning whether it'll work.
Mhm.
So it's, you got to have a plan. Where do you see your company 5 years from now? Who's your competition? How are you going to be different? What's your unique selling proposition? Why are customers going to buy from you? This massive marketplace. Why you? What's going to be your branding position? What's the one overriding message that you can, in one sentence, can tell me why I should buy from you? Geico, 15 minutes will save you 15% or less. Allstate, safe drivers save 20%. I can keep going all the way down the line. Can you get it simple? Can you get me in 8 seconds? If you can't get me in 8 seconds, you probably don't have an idea that's going to work in this absolutely fast marketplace.
I love that you talk about that, because I think a lot of companies come up with this huge USP that is so long that it's really hard to memorize. And then you're right, no one knows it, and no one knows who they are or what they even stand for.
It's funny. I had, on my podcast, which is a 10-minute entrepreneur podcast, so it's really a fast system. I had a famous founder on my show, and I knew what he did, but I like to start every show with, tell me, John, please, could you tell me what your business does? He says it. I said, John, can you tell me what your business does again? Because for an 18-year-old, he says it. I said, John, can you tell it to me again for a 12-year-old? And I said, now you have a USP.
Mm-hmm.
Because the 3 things you told me before, I had no idea what the heck you did.
Yeah.
And I got cheat sheet in front of me and I still didn't know what you did.
Right.
We want to make it so our company, we are sticky. We're this, we're that. We do. No, that's a strategy.
Yeah.
It's not a branding position.
Mm-hmm.
It's your culture. That's your values. That's all great. It's not in your USP.
Agree. I have had those conversations with people at conventions. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you just explained something to me and I have no idea what you do. And you're trying to get to the heart of the whole thing. Tell us a little bit about, you've written 3 books, and why did you decide to write a book, and what did that do for your business? Number
one is, I think you get to a certain age, and I hope everybody has a little bit of a story to tell. So I just had a desire. I felt like I had a unique way of doing business. My formula defied logic. I didn't have to like the business. I didn't quit my job to do it. I didn't require a lot of capital. And I always partner. So, because that allows me to do the first 3 things. So I knew I had kind of a different formula. So I'm like, why don't I just put this into a book? One is that I think a book gives you credibility, and I don't care if 5 people read it. In every single business, I cannot think of one business, if you're a CEO, where you don't benefit from having a book. And if you can't write a book as a CEO, I question whether you're a good CEO. I really do. I question whether, you honestly can't, you don't have 150 pages of information. You can't write one paragraph. When I wrote my first book, I wrote 1 paragraph a day. I sat down for like 5 minutes, paragraph. At the end of the year, I had a 160 some page book. It wasn't long. And then I got to, I wrote a little bit longer, but I still don't write for more than 15 minutes on any given day. So it's a discipline that's good for you. It gives you credibility. It opens doors that this is the other thing that I found. It opens doors that you can't see at the time you write the book. Mm-hmm. If you're not the CEO of a company, you should write a book. At some point, in your career, you're always jockeying to be the lead horse. You're always trying to develop your personal USP. Why should I hire? I'm going to look at 50 resumes. Why yours? Write a book. Find what you think is unique within your industry and put some thoughts to it. Take a position on something. There'll be somebody that values your position and or your strategy. What happens is when you write a book, you can quickly articulate subject matter. So when you do interview, when you do have that opportunity, you've written a book, you're going to have a working outline. Like me, I can run the 8 Unbreakable Rules like breathing. Why? I wrote the book. So I think writing a book is a good thing, obviously.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think there's some upsides to it.
Yeah. Can you tell us one of the examples of something that your book has done for you that you didn't see coming?
Yeah, I make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you're going to get speaking opportunities. You can do courses. I mean, the book is a New York Times bestselling author shared this with me. When I was writing the book, he took the book and he put it in the center like a bicycle hub. He said, here's the book. He said, I don't care if you make any money on the book. I'll show you how to make $1 million off the book. And he did, and he does it. He has a membership thing where people pay $19.95 a month. Boom. Then he does coaching, charges $1,000 for 45 minutes for a coaching strategy call. Then he has speaking engagements, $25,000. Boom. Just here's my course on my book. And he just, boom, goes here, $1 million.
I love it.
So yeah, and it works. The online knowledge is the future. It truly is. And the virus kind of showed us that you can learn anything right now. I am convinced you could go on YouTube and learn how to separate Siamese twins. I mean, it is crazy how much what you could find on there.
Yeah.
And so if you write a book, you're saying, I'm an authority on this. Now, whether you are or you aren't, that's going to be for the readers to decide, but you're taking a bold stance on that. And the fact is, most people will believe it because you wrote a book.
Absolutely.
And then you monetize it with a podcast and or courses, and the rest is history.
Yeah, there's so many different spokes in that wheel to make money. And we always tell our authors, don't get caught up in the $2.50 for the royalty. It's not about that. I
don't even look at my royalties anymore. It's royalties on a book. Let's say I'm making 20% or whatever the case may be. I don't even care however you do it. It's a moot point. It's a $97 course.
So how do you get everyone, you talk about everyone should start to think like an entrepreneur. What does an entrepreneur think like?
They're just opportunistic. I use this illustration a lot. The rest of the world is playing checkers in that you got a checkerboard. And how do you move in checkers? You move basically linear down the board. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to survive to the other board. If you get to the end, you can become a king. And then you can move back and you can go a little bit further. But that's it. You got 2 moves. If you live to the end, you make it to 62, 65. And if you put away this money, you're going to have some opportunities to maybe do some things you really want, move back on the board faster. I don't like that game. I like chess. From the second the chessboard is laid out, each one of my players, from a pawn to a bishop to a rook to a queen, they all have something they can do unique. So when you're an entrepreneur, you make money so many different ways. Like I could start a service company in any city in America. Let me just say 99.9% of every city in America. If I went through anything that looked like a Google phone book or a phone book, I could come up because I know that's a rook. That's one of my pieces. I know how to do real estate. I know how to buy for less than I know how to rent it out. That's one of my pieces. So it's a bishop. So I got a rook, I got a bishop. That's all entrepreneurship is. We're just opportunistic. We just don't stop looking. And we have some systems and some lanes over the years that we've become more comfortable in. Like in Shark Tank, each one of them have an area. You know, Kevin likes licensing and loans. Mark likes tech. Lori likes a product. You know, you can kind of go all the way down. They all kind of have a lane that they're a little bit. Draymond John, he likes branding. He likes clothing. You know, they'll steer out of it a little bit if they fall in love with the person and they feel like they can make some. But as a general rule, when somebody presents, you know the ones who are probably going to bid on it.
Yep. Very, very true.
Tell us where people can go to find you and where they can get, you said they can get a free download of your book.
Yeah. Yes, if you go to SeanCastrina.com, that's pretty simple. And hopefully we'll have that available to you in some show notes or something of that nature, or it's SeanCastrina. If you go there, you'll get my free book, The 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success. And if you just want to learn how to start and grow a business, the 10-minute entrepreneur podcast gives you more in the shortest amount of time. A lot of great. I got 10 podcasts on my phone. Nobody's listening to one. Okay. We're all addicts because we all want to learn a little bit. So my podcast will give you a lot in a short amount of time. And that's the 10-minute entrepreneur podcast. So I think they're the 2 avenues where you get the most value for free.
Awesome. We'll put those in the show notes and put it up on the link on YouTube so people can find it and people can go and get more information from you and listen to your podcast.
Great. Thank you.
podcast is the future, and YouTube. Just like you said, Sean, I spoke to a group of women that were living in a home, and I said, do all of you have a phone? They said, yeah, I'll have a phone, because they were complaining, well, I don't know how to do this, and I don't know how to do that, and I'm trying to get a job, but I don't have the skill. I said, all right, does everybody have a phone? And they all said yes. I said, can you all get on YouTube? Yes. I said, then you can learn whatever you want. You all have an education in your pocket. So that is so true. And we need to tell them, I'm going to share the 10-minute entrepreneur podcast with them, because then they'll learn how to run a business and be able to speak intelligently about that. Thanks for coming on our show today. It was great having you. I'm sure everybody took a lot of notes, and make sure you pick up Sean's book, and also make sure you subscribe to our podcast. Don't forget to do that. And if you're looking to write a book and become a #1 best-selling author, we guarantee that all of our authors will be #1. We've done that for every single author we've published so far. Contact us at Elite Online Publishing. We'll see if you're a good fit for us. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full-spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.